Hello and welcome everyone on this official platform of Legacy IAS Academy. So today we are going to discuss the most important story that is related to the assassination of our former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi. How Rajiv Gandhi's decision to send troops to Sri Lanka cost him his life. So it began with the handshake and ended with an explosion. In 1987, India signed a peace accord that was supposed to end the civil war in a neighboring island, that is Sri Lanka. Instead, it opened the gates to one of the most, or you can say one of India's most painful foreign policy disaster, a war that India never wanted, a peace that never came, and a prime minister who paid for it with his life. Okay. So this is not just the story of Rajiv Gandhi's assassination, it is the story of how a well-intentioned mission spiraled into a bloody guerrilla war with one of the most feared terrorist group in the world, that is LTTE. So it is a tale of backstabbing diplomacy, deadly miscalculation, and a suicide bomber who changed Indian history forever. But here is the twist. India has actually helped the train the very group that eventually killed its former prime minister. So we can say that from the jungles of Jaffna to the political halls of New Delhi, from peacekeeping to body bags, from strategic blunders to these emotional scars. So, in this episode, we dive deep into how Rajiv Gandhi's decision to send troops to Sri Lanka became historic turning point, one that cost over 1000 Indian lives and shaped the myth of clean foreign policy intervention. So I would say buckle up because this is India's Vietnam and it ends on a battlefield, but in a deadly flash on a campaign stage in Tamil Nadu. So why Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated? This is the story of Sri Lanka's Indian peace, now Sri Lanka and India peacekeeping force story. So first we are going to understand the background that during this period, what was going on in the background. That means what was going in Sri Lanka and why this civil war was started in Sri Lanka, why LTTE was created. So what is the story? So we are going to discuss everything from the independence of Sri Lanka. So let me tell you, after the independence, Sri Lanka's Tamil minority faced discrimination from Sinhala Buddhist majority. Now, Tamils basically lived in the northern and eastern part of Sri Lanka. So by 1970s, what happened? By late 1970s, several Tamil militant groups they had formed to fight for autonomy or independence. So India, especially Tamil Nadu, supported the Tamil rebels out of sympathy there in Sri Lanka by giving them some training, weapons as well as money. So this resulted into the formation of LTTE, Liberation of Tamil Tigers alum. So now who were these LTTE? So let's try to understand that who were these LTTE. As you can see here, LTTE means Liberation Tigers of Tamil Elam. And this LTTE formed in 1976. By whom? By Vellupillai Prabhakaran. Ji haan, he was a person. LTTE was formed by Vellupillai Prabhakaran. Now, by early 1980s, this LTTE became the strongest Tamil militant group. And in 1983, now what happened in 1983? LTTE group killed Now, LTTE killed a group of Sri Lankan soldiers, and this triggered the Black July riots, which which killed hundreds of Tamils, and this started the civil war. So this event in 1983, it is called as Black July riots. Ji haan. And this Black July riots triggered where in this it killed hundreds of Tamils also, and this is going to start the civil war in Sri Lanka. अब सवाल ये उठता है, why did India get involved? So we need to understand this. Why did India get involved? Now, what was the background during this time period? Though the civil war was started in 1983, but we should not forget the event in 1971. Now, what happened in 1971? Bangladesh Liberation War. And India had successfully helped Bangladesh gaining the independence in 1971. So, India thought that it could solve the other regional conflicts as well. So remember this thing. At first, India just wanted to mediate, not send troop. है ना? India सिर्फ क्या करना चाहता था? India just wanted to mediate. India did not want to send troops. But it feared that if Sri Lankan Tamils, they form a separate country, Indian Tamils, they might also want to do the same. अब इंडिया को डर ये लगा, what if the Tamil population who are living here in northern Sri Lanka and eastern parts, what if they are going to form the independent or a separate country here? Then in this scenario, this state of India, that is Tamil Nadu, they are also going to demand the same thing. Clear? So in this background, what happened in 1987, that we need to understand. So many newspaper cuttings, everything was there. So what happened in 1987, we cannot forget. So in early 1987, Sri Lankan forces actually blocked food as well as medicines from reaching Tamil areas. Now, in this scenario, India had sent the relief aircraft, which was escorted by the Mirage 2000 fighter jets. This was the aircraft, Mirage 2000 fighter jet. Okay. So India has sent relief aircraft escorted by Mirage 2000 fighter jets to drop the supplies in Jaffna region. That is true. And this pressure worked also. Sri Lankan president, as you can see here, Sri Lankan president J.R. Jayawardene, he agreed to talk with Mr. Rajiv Gandhi at that time. And this resulted into an accord which is called as Indo-Sri Lanka Peace Accord. Ji haan. This resulted into Indo-Sri Lanka Peace Accord on 29 July 1987. As you can see here, Rajiv Gandhi is meeting with the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu also. So this resulted into the Indo-Sri Lanka Peace Accord. So this was signed on July 1987. Clear? That means 29 July 1987. Clear? Now we need to understand. So this accord was signed by Rajiv Gandhi as well as Jayawardene. Now what was there in this accord? It promised greater autonomy will be given to Tamil areas, Sri Lankan army to leave the Tamil regions, rebels like LTTE to surrender their weapons, and they should join the political process. So this was there in Indo-Sri Lanka Peaceful Accord. Then Indian troops which are called as India Peacekeeping Force, so they will send to maintain the law and order in Tamil areas. This thing was there. So when these provisions are there, then what went wrong? That we need to understand that what went wrong. Now, so just try to understand what was the problem here. So let me tell you, LTTE, Liberation Tigers of Tamil Elam, they never really agreed to the accord. They refused to give up arms. And many Sinhalese people in Sri Lanka, they also opposed this agreement. So what happened then? In October 1987, let me tell you, in October 1987. Now what happened in October 1987? Two liberation tigers of Tamil, that is two LTTE commanders, they were arrested, but they died by swallowing the cyanide while in custody. है ना? That means they committed suicide. And this made LTTE to declare a war on Indian peacekeeping force. जी हाँ. And then finally the battle begins. So finally the battle begins, है ना? When two LTTE commanders, they committed suicide. This made LTTE to declare a war on India peacekeeping force. And finally the battle begins. Now here, as you can see here, so India thought that it would be a quick mission. India को लगा कि ये छोटा सा मिशन है, हम तुरंत करके आ जाएंगे वापस, है ना? But army chief, as you can see here, army chief General K Sundarji, army chief General K Sundarji, है ना? Army chief General K Sundarji, he told Rajiv Gandhi that it would take 72 hours to 7 days also to defeat the LTTE. But the reality was brutal. Ji haan, the reality was brutal. On 12 October 1987, a mission to capture LTTE leaders at Jaffna University was failed. And then 36 Indian soldiers died. One was captured and helicopter was damaged. Rescue missions also suffered huge losses. So by 13th of October, India had lost almost 70 soldiers in just 2 days. And by the end of October 1987, around 1100 LTTE fighters were killed. जी हाँ, around 1100 LTTE fighters were killed. Now, India also lost 319 soldiers, 1000 soldiers were more wounded. And finally, LTTE leadership escaped to Vanni jungles and continued fighting. So finally, LTTE leadership, they escaped to Vanni jungles. We, you know, Vanni jungles jo hai, and they continue their fighting. And finally, 3 years of failure, that is from 1987 to 1990. 3 years of failure. That means the Indian peacekeeping force, they fought for around 2.5 years, 1987 to 1990, and total Indian casualties, you know, around 1165 soldiers died. 1165 Indian soldiers, they died in this. Okay, over 8,000 total casualties, over 5,000 Sri Lankan fighters as well as civilians, they also died. But India could not defeat LTTE. So that is why in 1990, now in 1990, what happened? In 1990, Indian peacekeeping force was withdrawn. By whom? By VP Singh government. Ji haan. VP Singh government, he had called Indian peacekeeping force back. Now, what was the fallout? Indian public and politicians, they turned against this war. And finally, in 1989, let me tell you, Rajiv Gandhi lost elections to VP Singh. Rajiv Gandhi lost elections to VP Singh. And this Sri Lanka fiasco hurt his image also. In Sri Lanka, both Tamils as well as Sinhalese hated the Indian peacekeeping force because Indian peacekeeping force was accused of the abuse, torture as well as killings. Even Sri Lankan government began secretly supporting the LTTE against this Indian peacekeeping force. They started supporting LTTE, to get rid of Indian peacekeeping force. And then the assassination. Ji haan, then the assassination. Now, after losing power, Rajiv Gandhi said in a 1990 interview, so he has said in 1990 interview that he might send back Indian peacekeeping force to disarm the LTTE if elected again. अब इससे LTTE को पता चल गया that Rajiv Gandhi, if he comes to power, then he is going to send LTTE if he is going to elect again. That is why LTTE leader Prabhakaran was very furious on Rajiv Gandhi, and finally on 21st May, on 21st May 1991, what happened? On 21st May 1991, Prabhakaran, you know, and not only Prabhakaran, although he was furious because of the interview of Rajiv Gandhi, so finally on 21st May 1991, during an election rally, as you can see here, at Sri Perambur in Tamil Nadu, a 22-year-old LTTE suicide bomber, ji haan, a 22-year-old LTTE suicide bomber, remember this thing, who was named as Kalaivani, Kalaivani Rajratnam, Kalaivani Rajratnam, she blew herself up, and Rajiv Gandhi and 15 others died in this. Clear? So this is the story of how the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi took place. Now, so why it matters actually? You know, what is the main reason why this story matters? Let me tell you, what started as a peacekeeping mission turned into a bloody as well as failed war. Over 1100 Indian soldiers died. India gained nothing and Rajiv Gandhi lost his life. So many now call it as this war as India's Vietnam, a long war, costly as well as ultimately futile foreign military interventions. So with this we can say that when the Indian peacekeeping force finally returned home in 1990, it did not return victorious, it returned broken. And let me tell you that over we can say around 1100 Indian soldiers, they lay dead, and thousands were more scarred or wounded, physically also as well as mentally also. And less than a year, the man who had sent them, that is Rajiv Gandhi, was assassinated by a suicide bomber, her flowers hiding a bomb and her smile hiding a death sentence. So the mission that began in the name of peacekeeping had become a graveyard of good intentions. So India did not win in Sri Lanka, the LTTE was not crushed, the Tamil causes was not solved, and the biggest casualty, the trust between nations, trust between communities, and history itself. So this story is more than just a chapter in India's foreign policy. It's a warning and it is a reminder that in geopolitics there are no easy solutions. Even noble decisions can also lead to tragic consequences. so Rajiv Gandhi's ultimate story was one of hope, ambition, as well as ultimately betrayal. So the question still lingers: was he a bold visionary or a naive idealist? So tell us in the comment section, was the Indian intervention in Sri Lanka a necessary risk or a historic mistake? And if you found this video, this story shocking, powerful, or important, then do not forget to like, share, and subscribe our channel as well as Video Legacy IAS Academy, because history is not just about the past. It is about the understanding how the present was shaped. And in our next episode, we will explore another controversial military operation that the world forgot but history cannot forgive. Until then, stay curious, stay conscious. Thank you so much.